Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is Tyrone back with Tech Life. And in today's video, I have a very interesting update from AT&T's FirstNet's coverage expansion that I wanted to tie into the T-Mobile merger. So throughout the entire trial, T-Mobile's promise has been that they would expand into the rural areas of the United States. Well, today FirstNet announces that Band 14 coverage serves about half of the U.S. rural population. Now, why is this significant? Because AT&T got the contract back in 2016 or 2017, I believe, and then they started the rollout at the later parts of 2017. Now, mind you, the first initial rollout, when it started, it was a very slow one because Nokia wasn't ready with the equipment, or they weren't able to meet the demand at which AT&T wanted to push out the upgrades and the expansion. So then we got through the year of 2018, 2019, and 2020, which is roughly about 3 years, and FirstNet was only able to cover half of the rural population with Band 14. Now, the reason I wanted to tie that in is because I think this is going to be one of T-Mobile's toughest tasks with this merger is expansion in rural America. Now we know with the boost in the investment that T-Mobile will make, they will more than likely have the metro areas and the suburban areas taken care of. They'll get additional Sprint sites. They have the spectrum. They're going to upgrade at a very fast pace. We got that. We know that. But where the biggest issue is in my opinion, the rural expansion that T-Mobile will also have to undertake and then spend very heavily on. And just keep in mind, we're talking AT&T here. They're spending big money on this expansion, and they only cover half of the rural population in 3 years. It's 50%. So they have another 50% to go, which could potentially now be faster. So this next 50% is probably not going to take another 3 years because now the demand is there. Nokia and Ericsson are able to meet the demand and supply in terms of the equipment and stuff, and AT&T is still spending the same amount. So I'm expecting the next 50% to go a lot smoother. But again, T-Mobile is tied up in an integration where most of that investment is going towards. So it just seems to me that their rural expansion is going to be a lot slower than anything that Verizon and AT&T can do. So Verizon, of course, they're still expanding. They're still adding stuff in the metro levels, the small cells, the 5G millimeter wave. But Verizon and AT&T are tackling the rural expansion and have been doing so for years. Where T-Mobile now, if we're looking at the maps and stuff, they're really now just getting started on that. Yeah, they have added 25,000 towers and they've been expanding large LTE footprint. But once we get to the rural areas, T-Mobile is not as strong. Another buddy of mine has been saying that in the past, T-Mobile has been cutting corners and such that when they have built out expansion, let's just say most of the time, Verizon and AT&T will have a cell site in some of the areas that T-Mobile wants to expand to. So those towers are usually a lot taller for coverage, of course, and then whoever builds it first, Verizon or AT&T, will be at the top, and then either one of them will be right below. So T-Mobile had to make the sacrifice and a cost-cutting measure to get on the third rack, which is usually the lower. So their coverage isn't as good because they had to sacrifice and be on the lower rack instead of spending the more money and building their own taller site. So that is something that they'll now be able to do with the merged company. They'll be able to build their own sites and move on to that rack if they so choose to. But coverage has been hindered due to them having to get on that lower rack. So those are just some of the smaller tweaks that need to be made for T-Mobile to have that very similar coverage. But again, in the past, they have done so by cost-cutting measures and just getting on that lower rack, which, of course, in my opinion, it makes no sense to build a whole nother cell site if one is already there. But again, for the rural expansion and coverage wise is just not the same if you have to get on that lower rack. So just keep all of that in mind. I know this is good that AT&T is expanding, but with these FirstNet Band 14 sites, those are Band 14 only sites for now, and AT&T's building them brand new, so you can expect the best coverage from those. Very high sites, very tall, coverage as wide as possible. So they're expanding, but again, I still think that will be T-Mobile's toughest task to build out in rural America with the merger and what they promised. So let me know what you think about all this in the comment section down below. I want to hear from you guys, so sound off in the comment section. If you have been on the channel, you can go ahead and end the video now. But if you are new, make sure you like, share, subscribe, hit the notification bell so you are notified when I upload content. Make sure if you have a Twitter to follow my Twitter. YouTube has been dropping the ball on pushing out the notifications in a timely manner. A lot of you have emailed me, so make sure to do that. And this is Tyrone with Tech Life, and I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.